Welcome to The Pestle, reviewing and breaking down movies to look for insights into the movie-making process. Hosted by Reruns. Now let's dim the lights and start the show.
Welcome everybody to The Pestle. Today's show is brought to you by the Saspataki Impact Academy. Learn to take a fall from the legendary hit taker herself at the Saspataki Impact Academy. Welcome everyone to The Pestle. I am Wes.
And I'm Todd.
And we're filmmakers and actors, and we do all those things in context of watching a movie and talking about, I don't know, what we see and what we take inspiration from, what we learn, all those kinds of things. And man, I've just been, I don't know, bit of a rant here, I guess. Acting's hard. There's a reason we hire actors, and it takes a lot of work to get good at acting. It takes a lot of work to get good at anything. And the thing that drives me a little bit batty is how much people think it's something you can just show up and do on the day. Like, as if it doesn't take so much work and preparation, because all you're doing is talking in front of a camera, right? Like, that's simple enough. All you're doing is talking to a microphone, right? Voiceover work is also incredibly challenging. And if you don't know, it's that whole whatever Dunning-Kruger effect where you know a little bit, but you don't know as much as you think you do. You just happen to know a little bit. And so it's maddening because, look, if you want to be great at anything, you have to work at it. And if you want to be a great actor, you have to practice, you have to study, you have to get with other actors, you have to practice scenes. And if you want to be a great film actor, you also need to do a lot of that in front of the camera. Study yourself. Jim Kerry spent, who knows, there's no way you could count the hours he spent in front of a mirror rehearsing faces because he wanted to be a comedy guy, right? And so he would practice his impressions and faces. And it's just insane to think, like, if you and your band, like you've had, more than one band, of course, but that you've been in, but you had your band for a while. And what would happen if you showed up to a concert and the only time you had played your music was in the recording studio? And you showed up to this concert and said, don't worry, we made this music. We know how it goes. How would that turn out realistically?
It'd be very rough, to say the least.
To say the least. Like, it wouldn't be a very good experience for the audience. And that's what so many people think they can do. They think they can just show up and they've read the lines a time or two and they're good to go. And you get in front of the camera and whatever happens, like, there is a world where you can do that and get away with it. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. If you just happen to be a natural for this part. If, like, this, for whatever reason, this part was just you and you get to walk on set and nail it and go home and everyone loves you. Like, oh my God, you sent that clip about A Few Good Men and how one of the guys who is on trial was not an actor. He was just like a location scout or, manager.
He was an assistant to the location scout.
An assistant. So
yeah.
Steps removed from that even. And he just happened to look the part. And in that kind of role, you don't actually need a great actor. You need someone who can just shout the lines and carry a hard look. And you just don't need anything for that. And if you watch the movie, of course, you're thinking, like, this guy is stoic as hell. And he's just not doing anything. He's just saying his lines with Tom Cruise. And he kills it. He's amazing. But I'm going to guess that we haven't seen him in a lot of other movies since then. And it's because he doesn't have a toolbox. And that's maybe also because he just doesn't want to act, probably more likely. But you have to have a toolkit. And you get those things through practice and rehearsal and getting coaching and testing ideas out. Like, you go through different schools of training and you start to build out, like, this is what works for me. This is what doesn't work for me. Here's when I feel confident. Here's when I know I'm in character and I'm connecting with the material and with my other scene partners and etc. Like, it's so easy to look at a performance role or career and think that it looks easy because people make it look easy. it's easy to think Brad Pitt got to where he is because he's devastatingly handsome. And you would be wrong.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt could not look like Brad Pitt and still be killing it. He would be still killing it because he's an excellent actor. Now, being handsome, of course, gave him a leg up and certainly made his path easier, but it wasn't easy. He was still grinding at the beginning of his career, and it took a long time of working through that before he got to where he is. But make no mistake, he's been sustained because he's incredibly talented. And he's worked at it. It's not something that just kind of came easy and he figured it out along the way. Like, it's so maddening to think that you don't have to pay the cost in order to get to be where you want to be. And even I'm looking at my career and saying, how could I, continue to work at this? This is certainly one part of it, is study. But I'm also writing. If you want to be a writer, guess what? You need to write. There's no way around that. And if I want to make movies, guess what? I need to make movies. And that's where my next step is like, okay, I can't make any more short films. I've gotten good at making short films, finally, right? Okay, that's cool. Guess what you need to do now? If you want to be good at making movies, you need to start making movies. Like, I'm not discounting myself in this process. Like, everyone has to pay the same piper. And as easy as it is to look at someone like Joaquin Phoenix and say, well, he doesn't rehearse. Cool. You're not Joaquin Phoenix. Like, you have to put in the effort. And if you're not, there's no reason to think you're going to be successful. Absolutely none. You're no special case. And this is a good thing. To realize that you're not special is actually a very freeing concept, because we tend to look at, those who break in as special cases of like, well, I could never be Brad Pitt. Yeah, you can. There's nothing stopping you from being as great as you want to be at whatever it is you want to be, other than yourself. And we get locked into this mentality of, if I had only started playing guitar when I was 5, right? Whenever you're, 12 years old and you're looking at these prodigies who grow up to hate what they do and they never do it again. And you're like, why couldn't I be them? They don't even want to be them half the time. And so, like, there's nothing stopping you. I don't care what age you are. Like, there's nothing stopping you from becoming whatever it is you want to be, other than the sweat equity. You do have to put that in, and stop looking at the special cases and stop looking at yourself as a special exception. You're not, in the good ways and the bad ways. Like, there's nothing special about you holding you back. There's nothing special about your, metabolism that's preventing you from losing weight. There's nothing special about your vocal cords preventing you from getting better at singing. Probably that's a much difficult, one to talk about, but because there are actual tone deaf people, and that's fine. But whatever, an instrument, there's nothing really stopping you from becoming better and better. It's recognizing that you take these little incremental steps of progress, and eventually you'll become really, really, really good, much better than if you just sat there and did nothing at all. Anyway, rant over.
No, I couldn't agree more. And the other thing is that you also have to remember why you're doing it throughout that process, because it's really hard when you get into those moments of, and you will, or you do currently, of why do I do this? I'm getting nothing out of this. I'm not progressing. I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And, just to remind yourself again of why you do it in the first place, and that it's not always it's not about like getting to a specific place. It's about being better today than you were yesterday at that thing that you're working at, and as long as you can, go to sleep that day and say, you know what, I know I'm a little bit better because I spent this time doing this, or I was able to finally do this thing that was really hard before and it felt a little bit easier today, whatever. Those little wins, if you get, those little wins every day or every other day, over a year or over 2 years, they add up to like this giant amount, and everybody sees the big results, but nobody sees, the work in the dark. I mean, like we talk about Kobe Bryant on this podcast a lot, and mostly because the dude was first in, last out, like every day. Like there was never a moment where he thought, I'm the best, I can slow down, because it wasn't about being the best. It was always about being a little bit better than he was the day before, which now you're competing with yourself. You're not competing with other people, and there's no way you'll ever win. You just keep going and going and going. You're never like at a destination. So couldn't agree more.
Dude, well said. Yeah, incremental progress it's hard to measure unless you happen to be in a sport that measures it very scientifically. And speaking of, what are we covering today, man?
Today, speaking of scientifically, we are covering F1, the new Brad Pitt film that is in theaters as we speak. If you haven't seen this film, please pause the episode and go watch it because we're going to spoil a bunch of stuff.
Hella yeah. We'll touch on cinematography, talk about wide angles, and we'll also dive a little bit into story and writing, exposition, the real antagonist, and other such stuff and things and stuff.
And a quick synopsis of the film. A Formula One driver comes out of retirement to mentor and team up with a younger driver. It's directed by Joseph Kosinski, screenplay by Ehren Kruger, cinematography by Claudio Miranda, featuring Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, Damson Idris as Joshua Pearce, Javier Bardem as Ruben, Kerry Condon as Kate.
And no clip. I don't think I have time to fight. There wasn't a great clip to use. There were some, but none of them were going to be like worth fighting the DMCA takedown. So,
the YouTube demons.
Yeah. And so, dude, this has been, eating up, I don't know, the airwaves, so to speak, in terms of advertising, promotion. This is the same team behind Top Gun Maverick. And they were not shy about talking about the influence making that had on making this in terms of camera placement and figuring out how to make that work inside of these tiny spaces, a cockpit and now, a race car cockpit. Yeah. And so Brad Pitt back on screen, glorious as ever. Javier Bardem, like, what a lineup. I mean, it's a small cast, but man, they bring a punch. What did you think, man? Was this worth the price of admission?
I'm just going to say it out loud. I don't know. I have no idea what you thought. And, we've given the preamble of we're going to ruin stuff. And I just, from the moment that this movie started, I was questioning, why did they make this movie? And I still don't really have an answer because to me, okay. I go to movies because I want to feel something. And I want to be put in a place that I've never been before, right? Or at least that I'm not familiar with and comfortable with. And I think that in a way it does it well. I mean, let's talk about the good stuff first. They literally built at least a couple F2 cars, not F1, but F2 cars to equip with multiple cameras. So from the ground up, they built them. And when they're going around these corners, I mean, it's real speed that you're seeing. You're seeing 250 miles an hour going around these corners, and these crashes, like, it's all real. So I want to say first, like, that the work and the effort and the detail they put into doing this was incredible. Just like in Top Gun Maverick, you see that stuff and it's all real. It's like, Joseph Kosinski is a master at, like, doing real. And I think all of the driving stuff is really awesome. Okay, I'm still going on the good stuff. I like, I just like Brad Pitt and everything he does. I mean, even the movies that I don't really like, I just love seeing him on screen. Because he's just a beautiful guy. Yeah. And then Kerry Condon is, brilliant. She's, like, fantastic. And I actually really love Javier Bardem in this film. I think that he does a really good job. I buy him as the owner. I buy that he's like going bankrupt. The scene where he's mad at Sonny in the hospital, when Sonny goes to the hospital. I thought that was a really strong scene where he basically fired Sonny. And then, other scenes, like, I like them as actors. All of that to be said, I don't really find anything else about this movie good. The story is bland and has been done 100 times. In fact, I invited a friend to go see it, and she was like, I feel like I've seen it from the trailer. And she was right. Everything that was important happened in the trailer. Like, anything you want to know about the story happens in the trailer. Brad Pitt has a love interest. He's an old guy. He comes back. You know, the new guy who's racing hates him, and in the end, he ends up liking him, and they win. Or, you know, there's some crashes and stuff along the way, and it's just tropey as hell. And we've talked about this in this podcast before. Racing movies are really, really hard because, especially F1, I think, because there's a lot of rules. And there's a lot of red tape that these teams have to go through. And in order for you as a viewer to know that, you have to be told. So that means a lot of exposition constantly. And if it's not done right, then you just get annoyed with it. Like, even if you have to be told that their car is using parts that were not approved and, you know, whatever. And you have to be told that because you wouldn't know. It gets old when it's all the time, when it's the entire movie and every single thing that happens in a race has to be said by the announcer or else you don't know. It drives me crazy. The whole movie is like that. The entire movie is exposition and stuff that I've seen before. And so, and product placement, by the way, because this is an Apple film, Apple Studios, and Brad Pitt's character, Sonny, wears those Apple headphones, multiple times. I don't see those in other movies. You know, yes, he could be wearing headphones, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Point being, it was obvious that it was product placement and that it was made by, Apple Studios, and that it wasn't a giant studio like, Miramax or something. I don't know. I also thought that the camera angles or the camera, the lenses and stuff that were chosen were just kind of like weird when we weren't in the car. I just felt like it wasn't intimate enough, when we weren't in the car. It felt like there was, we're showing an entire room of people, and when we're talking to Sonny, yeah, he's center frame, but we're not like punched into him a lot. Like it feels like a bunch of mediums and very few close-ups. And when there are close-ups, I'm like brought in, but because that's all we get from the car shots is close-ups. And even if it's like facing out at other cars, it feels like a close-up because we're in the car. So that those all track and feel like they're good, but it just feels really, like it's trying to bring me into this giant space, but really the story is Sonny, and the story is Sonny and Pearce, and their relationship, and I just didn't really feel it or buy it. And the character that Sonny is just so like, it's been done. So there's nothing that happens in this movie that Sonny does that I am not surprised about, or that Josh Pearce does that I'm surprised of. When they're having that good race and Sonny says wait till till turn one, I knew he wasn't going to wait until turn one, and he doesn't. And what happens? He crashes. I knew they were going to win the last race, and they weren't going to win any others. I 100% knew that. How they got there? Yeah, sure. A few twists and turns, but I'm just sitting here. This is a movie that I've been waiting for months, and it was just like marketed down my throat as being like, oh, this will never happen again. This is like a, once in a lifetime film. No, watch Formula One on Netflix is more entertaining than this, honestly. And I hate saying bad things about films, especially big ones like this, where there's hundreds of people working on it. And I know that Kosinski cared, and I know that Brad Pitt cared, and I know that everyone cared, but they didn't start with something good, which was a story. If you don't have a good story, nothing else matters. In fact, it's worse, because all of that hard work and effort that you put into making everything and enveloping people in a space just kind of like falls flat because I know what's going to happen and it's not a surprise, or it's not something that like I'm mad at, you know, or like, you know, feeling stressed about. I was not stressed the entire time. I was just waiting for this thing to be over. Like, how is it going to end? That's so, you know, a quarter of the way in, I'm like, I wonder how this is going to end. I don't want to be thinking that in you know, a third of the way through the movie. I want to be thinking like, how does the next thing happen? You know, whatever. Anyway, so I'll stop there because I'm curious what you think, but yeah, that's my honest first viewing, you know.
Damn. Put down the wrench, Todd.
I mean, it's upsetting. It really is upsetting because it's a level, you know, talent all around everywhere, from Kruger to Kosinski to like everywhere. And I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of Kosinski's thing is maybe I should go down, you know, his catalog, but I feel like he, by and large, doesn't know where the good story is. Instead, he focuses on all the Marvel, right, aspects of like the spectacle, and puts so many eggs in that basket that counts on the rest of the story just being there to support all the visual elements, and that hurts because I don't know, he's done more than a handful of these, right? Oblivion, and I want to say, was he Tron? I always forget if he did Tron or not. Tron Legacy, but he's done, you know, a number of these bigger ones, and it's funny. So I will say I liked it, but I also completely agree with everything you're saying. I think I also just went in, I don't know, I guess I went in not really expecting a lot. More than anything, I went in realizing this is a 2.5 hour movie, and I was like, oh God, because I had a feeling it wasn't going to sustain 2.5 hours, and it didn't. I think if you were to figure out how to cut 25, 35 minutes off this, I probably like it a lot more. I don't necessarily know where those cuts should come from, to be fair. There's probably some sequences that I may cut just for the sake of like, do we really get anything out of this? Like the whole JP crash. I don't know that we get a lot out of that. Like, he didn't listen to his teammate, his older brother. Like, I don't know why that really matters. That's never really made clear to me. I don't know, but I will say I did largely enjoy it. I did see it 2 times. I debated, and this is how I know it's like I didn't love it. It's because I heavily debated watching it the second time. I saw it late Friday night. I got in from a long drive and was just tired, and I was like, I need to go see this because I'm not going to have time to see it twice if I don't see it Friday night. And then we ended up pushing, and I was like, okay, well, now I have time. I could see it again because we pushed our recording from Sunday to Monday, and I was like, but do I want to? Do I need to? Don't I have everything I really need to talk about already? But I was just like, I'll go in and take some notes and do my diligence. And I changed my seating position. The first night I sat front row in the corner, like front right, which is for me kind of an easy sit in most movies because no one is going to be sitting around you. And so it's nice and quiet. And I get to look in one direction the whole time, and it's fine. Like 2.5 hours starts to beat up your neck a little bit, but I'm not really that susceptible, I guess, to that. And so last night I went to watch it again, and I put it off. I was like, I'll go see the 4 o'clock. I don't feel like it. I'll go see the 6. I'll go see the 7 o'clock. And I finally was like, at 8 o'clock, I'll just go do it. I got nothing else to do today. I've gotten through all my edits and for work and whatever, and fine. And I chose to sit in the middle. And I will say, front middle was kind of glorious. That last sequence of Sonny Hayes taking that, not exactly the victory lap, but that final lap where he wins. And I was like, that was hella cool. It might have been worth it just for that moment, because that was visually just phenomenal, and I was in it. Now, there is something about this movie that kept bringing out, I don't know, wads, like just dudes who couldn't stop talking, and laughing as if they're in the movie. It's one thing to laugh at a joke, whatever, but laughing at things that aren't jokes and then laughing at as if like you need to laugh louder to let everyone know that you get it. Like you understand. Because you've watched Gentleman Driver or whatever like people watch. Like, come on, man. And so whatever, but it was still just okay. Like for me, it's an easy watch other than the runtime. It just finds these little grooves of like, oh, they spend a lot of time on the racetrack. I guess that's what I like, is they're not shying away from a lot of movies, action movies, right? They make you wait. The anticipation builds for the big action sequences. This gets right to it. We open in Daytona and we see some cool stuff happen there. We jump straight from track to track. And so on the good front, like you're spending all the time in the action. So that's cool. But on the bad front, they kind of don't introduce anything new visually after that first time. Like they do these little whip pans in the cockpit. And those are cool. The first, 2 or 3 times you see it. And then after that, I guess what they're trying to do is teach you the language of the cameras, but there's really nothing there to learn. It's just all going to be very repetitive. And at a certain point, the races stop mattering. And that's what the montages are there for, I guess, to be fair. Like they're there to kind of jump you through whatever. Like there's 2 big montages, really. The first one is when they're prepping for their second race, right? They didn't finish the first race, and so they're going to prep you for the second race. And we're watching how each of these drivers prepare. We have Sonny versus JP, the old versus the new. And so it's like technology and the PR and all the flash around being a driver versus Sonny jogging, just hitting the track, tennis balls and working on his hand-eye coordination, old school, like studying the course, right? He's going over the plans, talking to his engineers, and really getting in there. Cool. And so there's just kind of an excuse to drop a hot track and make it visually exciting. And then we kind of do the same thing in the second montage, right? Which is just the recovery of JP versus watching Sonny get ahead. And so there's this element of JP feels like he's falling behind because he's not on the course and he's watching someone else take all the glory. And so that felt like they were building way more tension than they ever used, because once JP gets back, he's back. It's fine. Like, it's your team. And I mean, it's really that quick. It's a snap of a finger. And they do poker, and Sonny just lays the cards down. He doesn't fight for them. That thing that he says at the beginning, right? Don't let anyone pass you. You fight for your position. And it's like, I guess he's just trying to teach a lesson to JP more than it's something that he actually himself believes. Because when it comes to the fight, he lays it down. He doesn't do what he's preaching. And so, okay. I mean, I don't know how to take that, to be honest. Like, part of me thinks that's not bad. It's good wisdom. And it's, to me, kind of getting what I think they're trying to make into the real antagonist here. Because we don't meet any other drivers. We don't meet Lewis Hamilton, right? Or whoever. That's literally the only driver I know. And so, other than that, we don't meet anyone, unless they're, whatever, going back old school. I understood the Schumacher, or whoever, I don't know his name, Joel Schuh something. I didn't know he was F1, to be completely frank. I knew he was a driver, and that was the extent. I know nothing about racing, unless we're talking about track and field, in which case I still don't know anything about racing at all. Yeah, I'm happy when I park directly between the lines of a parking spot. There are a lot of F1
legit people in the movie. Oh, ton.
Are they also in the cars?
I don't know if they're in the cars in the races. I mean, they say like Max Verstappen, and there's racing, like, and I know that's a F1 driver, one of the 20 F1 drivers, but also like the team leaders. Like there's one scene where they kind of at the what's her name's character and all the people she's sitting with, Kate's character and all the people she's sitting with, that when they have their headphones on and they're in that booth.
Oh,
kind of thing during the race.
And they
he
shoot
leans
that
back
look.
and looks at that guy and he's like, flicks him off.
Yeah.
That's a real race leader for, I think it's Ferrari.
Damn.
Yeah. So like there's a few, and then there's that one scene where they're doing the interview and there's two other guys with him they're being interviewed and they're like, we don't even think about that team. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those both were owners. Were like legit owners. They have them all over the place.
Yeah, and I assume that was the case for a number of reasons. One, that Lewis Hamilton is your producer. So that is going to bring whoever you want to the table. And then, of course, you have Brad Pitt and then the director of Top Gun Maverick. So I'm sure it wasn't too easy to get people on your side to sign up for cheap or for free. Like, oh, you want to do a cameo? Yeah, come on by. We'll throw you in the mix. And Toto, I assume Toto's like a real legend of some kind. At the end, there's that guy who tries to recruit JP, like, hey, if you're ever ready to step up. And he's like, no, I'm happy where I'm at. You can be my wingman anytime. Like, it's one of those kind of moments. And I was like, oh, that's clearly someone. I don't know who that is. I've never really got racing, and I hear you just need to go to the track. And it's funny because we have a really good race course here in Austin, Circuit of the Americas. And I've heard good things about it. I've even watched a video breakdown a few months ago that someone was like, here's why, they were going through some race course designer who's built the best race courses, and why he designs every course particular to where it's at, like Abu Dhabi, and they cover Austin. Like, this is a pretty solid race course actually because of these reasons. I don't know, if you say so. And so maybe I just need to go out and have my eardrums beat to death and the real action to get the juice. I hear a lot of people like what's the F1 Drive to Survive?
You mean the F1
Netflix,
the Formula
thing?
1 show on Netflix? It's called Formula 1.
Oh, it's just called Formula 1? Okay.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really well done. Yes.
Nice.
I've watched almost all of them. I'm not fully caught up, but I've watched all the last seasons. It's pretty exciting.
But they do lay this groundwork of anyway, there's no bad guy, right? We never meet any other driver. We never talk to one even. Mm-hmm. And so where's your obstacle? What is your antagonist? And so I think what they're trying to build the real antagonist to be is selfishness, right? And so there's that quote, which is so funny. I mean, to me, it's from White Men Can't Jump, but they quote, I think, Sonny at the end of the film, sometimes when you lose, you really win. Billy. And so it comes Rosie Perez. That's the start of my Rosie. And so winning is a team sport, right? And at the end there, JP loses to let Sonny win. And then the reaction to that is JP acting like he himself won, right? He's celebrating like he won, which is what teamwork is really about, right? Celebrating each other's wins like they're your own, because they are. It does take a team to win. He does not win without JP, taking out Hamilton. And I think as maybe that's what fans are watching, saying there's no way you're going to beat Lewis Hamilton while his car is still running. And so you got to crash that guy. And
to add to that, like the one thing I will say that I really liked were those moments where we didn't know what Sonny was doing, but he had a plan. And then we would learn it a little ways through. I loved that. I wanted that all the time, constantly. Those were great moments because it was something that, we thought he was failing, and they did set that up really well earlier, in the first test drive where he actually crashes the car, and he's like totally fine. He's like, well, but he crashes the car and we're thinking, oh, he's still having trouble, whatever. But then we realize, oh, he's doing it on purpose. Love those moments. And I think part of the reason is that I think that Lewis Hamilton was like very influential there, because we are able to learn with no exposition, by the way, the little tricks that a racer can do to benefit, a little bit here, a little bit there, or to help their teammate. I mean, I used to ride bikes a lot and race bikes, and that was it was always a team effort where you're doing this thing that seems crazy, but you're doing it for a reason to help somebody else. That's really cool. And the fact that they don't tell us that and we learn it, yeah, that's great. So, yeah.
Yeah, those moments, same. I really loved like the whole, I'm going to cheat my first race by pretending my engine won't start. And then like,
I loved that.
Cold tires versus warm tires. Like, I can imagine that makes I personally have no like intuitive connection with what they're doing. I'm like, aren't the tires on the road already? Like, what more do you need? Like, so I'm suspending all my like real world bad driving with their expertise of like, okay, I know it's important because they're telling me it's important. Got it. But all those other moments that you're talking about, like clipping someone and using the red cars and caution flags or whatever to advance his guy and keep the guy out there, right? Keeping JP on the course made sense. It's like, okay. Now, what didn't make sense is they're limiting him to jumping one position. Okay, I wish there's no way to do it that's, quite as low impact on the exposition front as the other stuff that you're talking about. But letting me know as through maybe the announcer saying, oh, there's a maximum jump that he can make of one whatever, because I didn't understand if everyone's pulling over, why isn't he at the front of the pack now?
I don't think everybody did. I think that's the point. It's like other teams just didn't pit.
Okay.
And maybe like one or two did and
Gotcha.
use that as an opportunity to pit. But it's not that he can only jump a certain number of spaces.
It's just that
if
only
he's fourth
so many
and
people.
all three pit, then he's first.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so like those are the kind of things like, I don't know what's going on. And so there's a lot there, but using, I think, teamwork as the basis of your, villain, is pretty cool conceptually. I don't know that they executed it to the fullest degree, because once we get towards the end of the film, like the stakes are really just whether or not he loses the team, right? Ruben owns the team. He wants to stay in there. And we like Ruben just because he likes Sonny. I think that's kind of the extent of it. And then we don't like that bad guy, Tobias Menzies, or I forget what his name is, but the board member. Which is also why he's the villain. And we don't have another driver, is because he's not being a part of the team. Therefore, he is the bad guy. And anyone who isn't being with the team is the villain. Like, we have those moments where JP is the bad guy, and we don't like JP's because he's not playing with the team. And yet, because he's Brad Pitt, we never turn on Sonny, really. Like, there's moments whenever it's not clear if he's being part of the team. But I think we're also just kind of going with him maybe because he's smart, and we understand that even whenever everyone else doesn't understand what he's doing, we know he's got a game plan. There's a reason he's doing what he's doing, and we just assume that based on what we've learned through the races and how he approaches those things. It's like he, for whatever reason, doesn't want to tell people what he's doing before he does it, and that's his whole maverick, shenanigan. But fine, okay. But to your point, man, the exposition, rough. I mean, it doesn't let up. At the beginning, he does his first press conference, and then we have the reporter stand up and practically read off his Wikipedia article. He's like, you've been divorced 3 times. You haven't won anything. You crashed. Your mama hates you. Your dog died. Anything you wish you did different.
Your mama hates you.
Like, it's all just shouting it, right? And I guess that's one way to do it. I just don't know that you would ever have that moment in a press conference. That didn't make sense. Like, to me, it would make more sense coming from JP, who's like throwing it in his face because they are, so antagonistic with each other at the beginning. Why wouldn't he do that? Why wouldn't he just like shout all his failures at his face? Like, that to me builds their animosity so much more than this random press guy who means nothing to this story whatsoever. And so
agreed.
I probably cut that whole thread. I also cut the love interest thread that doesn't serve this story whatsoever.
I hate it.
right?
I hate it so much.
It's such a 4-quadrant mentality of like, we got to make sure we make women in the 20 to 35 demo happy or whatever. It's just like, why? Come on, man. That was pretty weak, even though, to your point, Kerry Condon is fantastic. Like I love her in this. But along with Jodie, it's so funny because Jodie comes in and I love her as a subplot just because, you know, she's a woman in this man-dominated field and she's having to prove herself as competent, and she screws up, right? She leaves the drill out and she gets called out for it, and then Sonny comes to her rescue in front of everyone, and then she calls Sonny to the fold like, hey, don't do that. You're making it worse. And that's a great moment. That's such a good moment. Like, hey, she's got to fight her own fights. And in that same vein, like, we're kind of undercutting Kate's personality by making her a love interest. Like, she still has a lot to do technically, but it's only as a result of Sonny showing her the way. Right? And so I don't know that Kate really serves a solid function as a character apart from her being a love interest and some weird motivating factor for Sonny to now learn how to be a teammate, because he only does that to win her affection.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay.
And
I
then
don't know
what?
that says
He just
about being...
like leaves at the end.
Yeah. And then he just bounces on her. Like,
like, and she's totally fine with that.
Yeah. Like, come on, man.
Totally not. I don't know.
Not cool, bro.
I just question, like, who, you know, when we see movies that, you know, when we see like movies like indie movies and we have critiques on things, whatever, you know, that's somebody learning. That's somebody, like, you know, putting themselves out there, like, you know, trying to do something that they think might be new or that they think might be fresh, and maybe it doesn't land, and maybe, you know, the reason it doesn't land is a reason why that they didn't think of, you know, or like that you know, they didn't have a team of producers to say, but what about this and what about that?
Yes.
Or a team of writers. It's just, you know, usually one or two people. But this is a multi-million, I mean, $100 million more movie with teams of people, and nobody's looking at the story and thinking what it's going to be like at the end. I mean, I think it all has to fall on Kosinski, right? Because he's the director. But I mean, I don't fully blame him. I mean, I think he did a great job with what he had, and it's exciting to see. But just the story, I just don't understand it. I don't understand why, you know, someone saying, yes, this is worth, you know, the $200 million budget or whatever it is to make this movie, this story is worth it. It's just not. It's been done before and in a better way, to be honest. So yes, there's beautiful shots and there's really exciting moments and stuff. I'm not going to take that away from it, but yeah, to your point, when you get back down to the story, it's just lackluster, I would say.
Yeah, it's not really achieving some of the goals that it's aiming at, and that's kind of the frustrating part, is whenever you kind of indicate or point towards what your goal is, which is letting someone prove themselves in their field, right? Kate is only there because Ruben saw something in her, and yet she never actually proves herself, because when Sonny shows up, they call her car a shitbox. Right? And it only gets better, you know, through Sonny's expertise and working on it himself, and getting her through some weird bargain to use his methods and say, oh, we need to stop trying to beat him on the straights and, you know, fight through dirty air, which is really cool. I have no idea exactly what that means, but I like it. And so I really appreciate all of those elements, but I would have appreciated it even more if they gave her one or two great moments of saying why he's wrong, because she's the expert. Like, he's the expert in the car, sure, but she needs to be the one to fix the things that he's seeing that aren't working. So for him to be like, I think it's this, we need to change this. She's like, well, what's the problem? Oh, it's, loose in the back coming out of the turns or whatever. She's like, no. Here's the actual problem. I got it, and let her show why she's in her position in the first place. And they never give it those moments, not once. It's always her taking the lead from Sonny. And so it just kind of undercuts the whole mission of showing why she belongs. As opposed to Jody, I love her. She's one of my favorite little characters because she steps in, she screws up. She's like, I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm going to fight through it. And then by the end, she does listen to Sonny, but she's the one instituting it in her crew, right? She's slow as smooth, smooth as fast. And they bang, bang. And it's so satisfying.
To be honest, that was the most interesting part of the movie for me, was the moment that they had like a sub 3 second pit stop. My eyes got big. That was like, honestly, that was the most amazing thing to me in the whole movie. And I remember thinking, watching this in that moment, I remember thinking, I want to see more of that. While we're seeing all these shots in the car and stuff like of all this speed.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that was interesting to me was Jody.
Yes.
And her team doing a who, by the way, we don't ever meet anyone else except for the leader,
mm-hmm.
The pit crew leader. So we have the pit crew leader and we have her. We don't ever meet anybody else. But what I wanted to see was more of a relationship of Brad Pitt's character with those people.
Yeah.
And getting that down because so many times he had to get out in front of this car and he has like one more second. And if it would have taken a half a second longer, he wouldn't have been able to do it. That is stress because it's a person's performance on the line, not a machine. Like not the quality of the car or like the fins they put on it for, to manage dirty air coming through turns behind other cars. Like, it's literally someone's immediate performance right there. Anyway, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that was like a really cool moment for me.
I completely agree. Like, cut the whole Kate, love story thread and spend more time with the pit crew showing how they get those transitions down faster and faster and faster. Show me the minutia there because that is hella crazy. Because my second time through, whenever that moment hit, I started like counting. I started like, what are they doing? How are they? And I just wanted to see more of those details of how are they getting these tires off and on and letting them rip out of there in under 3 seconds. Because I would count in my head like 1,000, 2,000, and he's gone. Like, wow.
Yeah. I did love the moment where at the I think it was like the first race where Sonny was like, I want softs. And they wouldn't give him softs, so he didn't move. He just sat there.
Yeah.
I loved that. Everything I love about this film is like in the pit.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. It's so cool, And yeah, I want to see them. In the opening sequence to the F1 series, right on Netflix, they have a downward shot. I'm sure you've probably seen it. Shot of maybe you haven't, of an F1 car pulling into frame. They do a pit stop. It takes 3 seconds and the car leaves. They take all 4 tires off, they lift it up, take all 4 tires off, put new tires on, bolt it, fuel the car, put it down and get out of the way in under 3 seconds. That's the end of the title sequence in the Formula One series.
Shit.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see how they go from 4 seconds to 3 seconds or sub 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing to me.
Dude,
So,
that's so cool. So yeah, I feel like some missed opportunity. And then I don't know, there were some things that were just kind of lobbing up there where I was just like, oh God, brother, come on. Like at the beginning, Ruben goes to recruit him. They're in the diner. I love he's sitting at the counter, drivers only, right? It's supposed to be truck drivers, but he's like, no, I'm a driver. And he's walking out the door and Sonny shouts at him, ever seen a miracle? Not yet. Me neither. Prompted by what? Like, where do you just start running around asking people if they've seen miracles? Like, that is so like tipping their hat. Like, remember this will come back later. And then at the end, a miracle. Like, bro, that is so not cool. Like, why? There's no anticipation. And it's so funny to me too, because I wonder if they're even being honest, because it looks like Sonny surviving that wreck in the 50s, whenever that wreck happened. That looked like a miracle. Like, he looked like an accordion just folded up which is a heartbreaking shot to see. And I love that shot because it's so wide and we're so far away, and we really get a sense of how no one is coming to help him. That guy is just standing there looking for help. And he's just not moving. What a beautiful shot. I love it. And yet, like, they're saying they've never seen a miracle, just to cue up at the very end this idea of a miracle, like, and they're trying to make you feel like it's earned because they've been looking for one or something. And it's just, I don't know, it's pretty weak exposition or foreshadowing, whatever you want to call it. It's not working. And then you get to this other element right there in that scene of a friend comes to you, and they're doing this whole thing where you resist the call, right? And so Sonny is resisting the call to action, right? To come and help his buddy, even though everything in this guy seems like he wants to be driving. And for some reason, he won't stay put. He won't drive for whatever that is, NASCAR. And now he won't drive for F1. Instead, he's going to just race every race in the world that he can race, right? He does the Baja, whatever, the Baja Blast. What is the dune buggy race at the end. Whatever that thing is. Sorry.
That's great. I love talking about things you have no idea about. This is fantastic. You just like make shit up. It's good.
And so he asks the waitress, or she's not a waitress. She's, I think, well, maybe she is, the server. And he's like, you know, would you do it? And she's like, is it good money? He's like, it's not about the money. So what is it about? And then we cut to him going. And then that's how we end. That's the exact ending we land on, of the guy saying it doesn't pay much. And he says, it's not about the money. And so what is it about? Because he's thrown this. I love that Shea Wiggum is in this for like 4 minutes. I love Shea Wiggum. Anytime he pops up, I'm like, that guy's going to give us something good. And he's the NASCAR, team manager. And he's trying to get Sonny to stay on, like, drive with us, man. You already laid the groundwork. You're part of the team now. What are you doing? What kind of way is that to race? Just spend your whole life starting over. And that's what he's doing. Every time he leaves, he's starting over. And I feel like there's this implication, or not even implied, but there's this correlation that they're feigning about every race you start over. Every time you go to the starting line, you start from scratch again. There is no race where you get to just coast on your merits, right? Where like, oh, I'm number one always, and so I always get to finish first. I get to start first. Or I don't know, maybe there is. I don't know anything about racing, so maybe there are some races where you don't do a time trial and you just start based on your scoreboard thing. I don't know. But I feel like they're playing with this idea that he just wants to be the best at everything. I don't know. I don't know what it's all about. I really want to know, and I feel like they're letting you fill in that blank of what's it all about to you. What do you think it's all about? It's all about just the race. It's all about just, the competition. It's all about starting from scratch and building it all over again. I don't know. It's all about the love of racing or something. I don't know. Do you have any notion or idea what's it all about? Sonny?
He does mention that he's searching for that,
flying
that moment where he's just like, yeah, he's flying. It's so corny at the end when he had his moment. Like, what's he doing? Oh, he's flying. I almost laughed out loud in the theater. I was like, are you kidding me? How about don't say it so that we can experience it and put the two together? Like, you've already said that's what he's searching for. You've already said, he sat on the balcony with her and with Kate and told her that's what he's looking for. So now he has this moment where everything goes silent. Just stay on him. Make the camera still. Everything's moving around him, but he's still. And then just pan the camera around and just be in the moment in silence. Don't say it. Like, it just drove me nuts. And I'll just say one more thing and I'm going to stop but Hans Zimmer did this score, and I don't really think that he did this score. What I firmly believe is that either he, only had a certain amount of time to dedicate to it, or he maybe handed a lot of the composition off to maybe someone, under him, or, to work alongside him, but they did most of the work, because there's not really anything of remembrance about it, but this film could have that. This is not like a film where it's like, well, this isn't really a motif driven film. No, like it very much is. It felt like a combination of Pirates of the Caribbean and, a not as good version of Days of Thunder. Like it just, and I hate saying that because Hans is the greatest ever. Like we absolutely adore this man and everything he does. And yet everything about this movie felt just a little bit not up to the level that you would expect of a Brad Pitt film, multi-million-dollar film. It's just all a little less thought out or a little less put together. And I don't want to blame Apple, but if the differentiator here is that it was made by Apple Studios or produced by Apple Studios as opposed to A24 or DreamWorks, you got to kind of call a spade, maybe, possibly. Maybe it was like a lower budget for Hans. I'm not sure, but that was just lacking, in my opinion, too.
Interesting. I think going back to that line, like, what's happening? He's flying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is the indicator that it's just talking down to your audience. Like, and there's probably another way you could even phrase that to where why would anyone ask what's happening right now? Like, we're winning. What do you mean?
He's
what's
driving
happening?
the car.
Yeah. What's the confusion here? Instead, if you really have to give her that moment to say he's flying, then let him like gawk a little bit and say, look at him go, or something like that. And then that can cue her to say he's flying. And that becomes a personal moment that's for her instead of like spelling it out for one of her team members, which makes absolutely no sense. Give us a little personal moment with her instead of having her announce shit to the people who do this for a living. Like, that doesn't it drives me nuts. But even better, just let us have that moment. Like, to your point.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know. I think I feel you on the Hans front. I do want to hear it again. There's some moments where I was like, man, this feels really big and cool. I think my problem is how much it gets drowned out by all the needle drops. Like, they just keep dropping all this soundtrack stuff on us instead of letting Hans kind of rule the roost. And maybe that would have made it pop a little bit more, because it is hard to stand out when every 4 or 5 minutes you're getting a new, I don't know, mixtape dropped on your face. It's just
I'm just spoiled with what he's done for all his other films, but this movie is not those movies. It's its own thing. So I know that he loves working with orchestras, and so I'm not trying to take that away, but like, he's also one of the most creative human beings when it comes to this kind of thing on the planet. And I just felt like it was lacking that like creative element that would set it apart from other movies. So.
Yeah, because to your point, that it isn't very memorable in like some kind of melody sense, right? It's very supporting. It's very ambient.
And I say that because like if it was somebody else or like
Danny Elfman, right?
I'd be like, well,
okay, yeah.
Oh man, if Danny Elfman,
that's fair.
Crazy. I guess my point is like, if I made that score, I would be proud of it. This is why there's this dichotomy here. Like, if I did it, I would be very proud of that. It would. I'd be like, man, this section, like, God, it's so big and like awesome. Yeah, it's great. Yes, but the fact that it's Hans, this guy who's like, he'll turn a voice into like a bagpipe or something, or like, you know what I mean, for like Dune. I'm expecting that. I'm expecting something that I can't do, and And for him to like watch this, I don't know that he's like as proud of this as he maybe was of Inception or something, you know?
Yeah.
So that's all I'll say.
Fair. My last note is just cinematography. Wide angles and low angles. Like, it's hard to go wrong if you have the production design going with you. Like, use wide, low angles. Like, it's so dramatic and it's grand. Everything feels bigger. And even in their like talking head stuff, you'll often find them like just a little bit lower, probably cameras at their chest height, right? And just looking up a little bit. And everyone feels like heroes. Right? Everyone, it's all hero shots. And it's cool. Like, it does have a nice dramatic feel. And everything feels larger than life. And that's that kind of movie effect. When you're on screen, make them look like legends, man. Why not? Yeah. Anyway, that's fine. I don't know. There's other stuff, I guess, but who cares? Nice. Yeah. Final thoughts?
I think I already gave them. I mean, look, I'm proud of everybody who made this movie. We always are. It's amazing that movies even get made nowadays, and I'm so glad that this was made. I just wanted more of a unique story or purpose behind this, other than what I got. That's all I'll say.
Nice. Nice. What are you going to recommend this week?
I was trying to think of a movie of a guy coming back to this thing that he left. An older guy, and then like trying to train, and hitting walls, but then, overcoming and really loving it, and then, turning it, being successful, right? I was trying to think of like whatever. And I came across one that I cannot believe that we haven't covered and that we should cover, League of Their Own, which is, I absolutely adore everything about that movie, from the acting to especially the screenplay. Just the way they tell everybody's story, and you feel like everybody is so important. And when a bad thing happens to one, you feel it in everyone, is so brilliant. And Tom Hanks is fantastic in this. It's how you make a movie. Like, I don't even know anything about that era, and yet I feel everybody's pain, in that movie. I mean, I get emotional even thinking about it because I just love that movie so much. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, yes, that one. I'm recommending that 100%. It makes me want to go watch it right now, honestly.
High fastballs. Can't hit them. Can't lay off them. I have that movie memorized. I watched it so many times.
There's no crying in baseball.
Beware of the clap. It's good advice, son.
It's funny. It's heart-wrenching. It's there's like a learning element to it. It's just so good. Yeah.
God, great recommendation. If you haven't watched a lot of race movies and you're like, this was fun, I wouldn't mind spending a little bit more time in the car. There was a recent movie, I think a year or two ago, called Gran Turismo. That is really fun, really solid. It's Neil Blomkamp, the same guy behind District 9. And it's actually a really solid movie based on a real story, which I had no idea walking in. And it's solid. Like, it's just a solid movie. It's not going to like blow your hair back or anything, but if you get in there, you'll have a couple of wow moments for sure. And yeah, one moment that pretty much stopped my heart. So Gran Turismo. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to go down to Mexico, and take a look at the Three Amigos. And so stay tuned for that. And if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe, drop us a review, leave us a note, something you want us to cover. If you want to comment on this episode, you can do that at thepestlepodcast.com/F1.
Look up here. Look up here. Hey, you guys. Sorry. Our quote of the day is from Gregg Popovich. No one is bigger than the team. If you can't do things our way, you're not getting time here, and we don't care who you are. I love it. I love it.
Pop just retired, which is nuts to me. And just the greatest. Like, I'm sure you can make your whatever Phil Jackson arguments, Pat Riley, whatever. But for me, Gregg Popovich reigns supreme because he really believed that. He really bought into this idea that no one is bigger than the team, and you are here to serve the team. And it got them rings. Like, Manu Ginobili is one of the greatest players in NBA history, and he came off the bench. He was a sixth man. In any other league, any other team, he's starting, no questions asked, and he's playing 40 minutes a night. And he came off the team, for really smart reasons. This was a very intelligent move of, you know what, whenever everyone sends their starters to the bench to get a breath, we're going to put our best guy on the court. And now he doesn't have to share minutes in the first quarter with our other best players, right? Tony Parker and Timmy can run the score up, and then they're not competing for the ball. And it's just this really intellectual exercise of how can we get the absolute most out of every player. And then when it's crunch time, they're all on the court, right? Down the fourth quarter, everyone's going to get their PT, and now the other team has to deal with this threat. And it's just this very smart exercise. And Pop said, he really did not care. He traded Dennis Rodman away because Rodman played on the Spurs for, 2 or 3 seasons. And whenever he got into these fits, he would pout, he would take his shoes off and sit by the check-in table. And he was just this little whiny baby. And it's just like, hey, cool. You know where you'll be a great fit? Go to Chicago. We'll let them win with you more than we'll win, with you. We just don't care. You're not helping this atmosphere. And it's just such a cool attitude of, the team reigns supreme, and we're going to win more. And no one is bigger. There are no exceptions. Yeah.
I love this, and I love that. It's really amazing to watch the passing and the defense of the Spurs with Pop. It's just incredible. Like, you can feel them all working together.
Yeah.
And even if they lose together. You know what I mean? They lose by, dedicating themselves to something bigger than themselves, which inevitably means that they win, more than they lose, because you're not going to win everything. But yeah, great quote, man.
Love it.
Yeah, amazing. Well, this is a great episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure to recommend us to your friends and subscribe and review us wherever you get your podcasts. And if there's a film that you'd like to have us pick apart or talk about, let us know. Who knows? Maybe we'll cover it. Until next time, I'm Todd.
I'm Wes.
Go watch some movies.
I like how much his fist gets into the camera.
Oh, just like full frame.
Ooh.
Yeah. I actually don't mind that, because then they cut away.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like it, because it's what would happen. You feel like more of a fly on the wall. Like, yeah, let's keep this moment, because it's doing a thing.
Yeah.